Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. Today I'm back with the Gate Masters of Grand Cathay, the generals who lead the battalions of the mighty Celestial Dragon's army. Now on my channel already you can find a tutorial for the Gate Master on horseback, as well as many other Grand Cathay tutorials, so make sure you check them out. And do like and subscribe because I've got so much more to come. Now, I've talked before about how I do believe the heavy metal team were probably told in contractual agreement to paint the models to match the original pieces we see in a Total War Warhammer game, and that difference between an animated game artist and a miniature painter artist. Now, the orange they used doesn't work for me personally on the box art models that we see. Being so close to red on the colour wheel, it doesn't stand out. Now in this tutorial, I'll take you through an alternative approach using a contrast painting method, using a triadic colour scheme to make this general visually impressive while still fairly lore accurate. I'll be giving handy tips and things to consider and look out for, as well as guidance on applying those extra large transfers to your model. I'm sure you'll agree the end result looks incredible, and you too could easily achieve this, as well as applying this colour scheme to many other models. Now it's time to crack on with our Gate Master, so let's grab our paints and our brushes and let's get hobbying. And we're beginning with our Gate Master. So as to know, it's always going to be with my videos, they're contrast painting tutorials with additional highlights at the end, and my model's been primed in white scar. Now to begin with, we're focusing on the red details. There's quite a lot of it and we want to cover them all to begin with because it's quite a strong, vibrant colour. And the perfect contrast paint to begin with is Baal Red. Now while it is a contrast paint, it doesn't act like your traditional contrast paints. We're not going to get a strong shade, we're not getting a strong highlight. But that's not what we're using it for, because we're going to get those effects later on. It's a very good coverage paint. We haven't got to fit it down. It's very flat and it's going to really work wonders in the later stages. So where I've applied it, inside of the cloak, the hair plume. Just to note, the inside of the cloak, he has got a sword holster, so we don't need to paint that. He has got the pole of his flag that can be painted in. You've got the cloves. Now it doesn't matter if you do catch the little leather straps, we can paint over those in a darker colour later. I've tried to avoid them, it just helps to showcase where they are. You've got the little cloth around his neck, say his arms. You've got the main banner. And this is where we can be a bit messy, because the banner I'm going to paint like the box art. It's going to be black, so we can just slop it on the inside because the black's going to override that later. So we can afford to be messy. And it's the same here as well. It's going to have black between the insides on this bit of the pole here. So we can be quite messy there. And then you've got this little lantern as well. So you've got the little tassels here, as well as the string bits there. Take your time, apply it all on, and then we can move to the next stage. Next up, it's time to shade all of our red details, and I'm going to be using 3 different colours here for 3 different tones. The 2 of those colours are going to be so subtly, almost identical, even though they're completely different paints. But when you look up closely, there is a very, very subtle difference. It is optional, but that's how I'm painting mine. So to begin with, let's focus on the plume on the helmet. And I wanted it nice and dark, with a real dark recessed shade. And the colour I'm using here is Flesh Terror's Red. Really settle in nicely, just paint it straight over the Baal Red. Now once that's done, I am taking Blood Angel's Red, and I'm filling this down quite heavily. 3 parts Lahmium Medium, 1 part Blood Angel's Red. And simply turning this into a shade paint, almost like a wash. I'm applying this over all the details. The only area I haven't applied it on is the wooden pole of the flag. Though the actual flag itself I have done, all these tassels I've done as well. Just take your time, try and be as neat as possible. We can always fix with white scar if we do mess up. Now for the actual wooden pole, it does look like I've shaded it with the Blood Angel's Red. I haven't. I've done exactly the same mix. 3 parts Lahmium Medium, 1 part Gore Grunta Fur. And this gives a more wooden feel. Gore Grunta Fur's got quite a light brown, rich, warm wooden feel to it anyway. So we're turning it down to a really thin shade. As you can see, it doesn't change the Baal Red. It just gives it a nice little recessed shade that's darker at the bottom with that brown effect. But as for the actual main wood itself, it just enriches it more. Gives it a real wooden feel. So we do those parts and then we'll move on to the next stage. Now if you've seen my Gate Master on horseback tutorial video, you'll know I'm not keen on the orange. Not because it's a bad colour, But this is the problem when it comes to contrast colours. Red and orange being so close on the colour wheel, they blend into each other and they don't stand out. And obviously I want my general to stand out really nicely. So using colour theory, using the colour wheel and having a red royal look, I want to go the opposite, and that's going to be a very rich, vibrant blue. The same blue that I've done our other Grand Cafe characters. So the colour I've used here is Asurmen Blue. And I've painted this on, let it dry, and then paint a second layer on. Things like the sash and the ropes and the little flags. Take your time, apply them on, apply as much as you want, or as many details as you want. For me, these are the details that I've done. This really helps to make them stand out once the model's finished. Next up, I'm taking Black Legion, and I'm applying this in two separate areas. The flag, both sides, as well as the cloak. Now, the back of the cloak does go just around the front, around his neck there. Now I have applied 2 coats of this to the cloak, just to give it that real rich colour, but the real importance here is the actual flag itself, and there's a couple of things to note. You will need 2 coats of this. It's going to be the same if you did it in Abaddon Black anyway. Now, Black Legion, being a contrast paint, it's quite thin. It's obviously going to be very dark with the second coat. The first coat's going to look very messy. But don't worry, trust the process. That's where the second coat really neatens it and you get this rich black. But the real important note is the model is vertical. Obviously, I'm holding it like this, but it is vertical. It's going down, and it's a large surface area. Apply too much, gravity's going to take over. You're going to ruin this detail around here and here if you apply too much. So you want one thin layer, let it completely dry, and apply a second layer, let it completely dry, not too much, check for pooling, and this will be your end result. Nice, rich and black. Continuing with our black details, I'm now taking Black Templar, and I'm applying this over the boots, over the belts, and it's really important here where you can actually settle it really heavily into the belt recesses and leave that real natural highlighting edge. It could be that sort of cheeky highlight where you won't need to do it later. I mean, I will be applying my own highlights, but it really showcases where to apply the paints as well. Now, with the belt, just to be aware, you've got the strings of this little vase, and the belt can just be, it's hard to see in this video, it can just be seen down the side here. So this is a real good stage to apply that now. So take your time, apply it over the belts, over the boots, and we can move on to the next stage. Next up, I'm focusing on the brown leather details, and the base coat colour I'm using here is Gore Grunta Fur. So this is things like the armour trim, the little straps, and the satchel bag, as well as the holster. You can just about see it's a bit darker on the camera here, but that's painted on the inside too. So take your time, paint those details. We'll shade them a bit more in the next stage. For the little paper lantern, I've used Skeleton Horde. The easiest way, start from the top, go to the bottom, prevents any pooling. As I'm going for a rich royal look, for the little wraps of the actual sword, I've painted it in Sigvuld Burgundy. So there's a subtle different colour that just creates different areas of interest. Next up, we're taking that brown and we're shading it a little bit further to give it a real rich, dark, detailed look. And the colour I'm using here is Cygor Brown, and as I say, I've thinned this down 1-to-1 mix with Lahmium Medium and applied it straight over. While that's drying, we can focus on the flesh tone. The colour I'm using here, like with all the Grand Cafe miniatures, is Darkoath Flesh. It's the real perfect matching skin tone colour here. Now, there is an optional choice. When you look at the box art, you can see where the hands are. The Heavy Metal team have painted it as gloves, but when you actually look at the fingers, they could quite easily be seen as actual gloveless fingers. So you've got a choice there. Either you could do gloves in black, or you could just go straight for Darkoath Flesh, and I've gone for that to give a different colour across the model. Next up, I'm base coating my metallic details, and I'm using 2 bright colours here. And I really want to give off a real rich Royal Guard, general look. So the first colour is Retributor Armour, our gold paint. It's going to work really nicely as a triadic colour scheme with the blue and the reds that we've done. Now I would use the box art for reference here. I've done the whole arms, little trinkets, I've done the gem, a little bit in the waist, this little vase thing, the sword, the dragon, all the bells. There's a lot to apply, but it just gives a rich, vibrant look. Now for silvers, I want it nice and bright to match my Jade Warriors. The colour I've used here is Iron Hand Steel. Just a little tip, just be careful applying it just in there. It's a bit hard to see with the light here. There's just a little section there. And again, when you get near the brown leather details, just take your time, use a real small layer brush to get in there. The same here, just apply it very neatly and very carefully. You've also got the little rings. Take your time and apply all your details, and then we can shade them. And then lastly, with our metallics, we're going down a very classic route here. So for all the gold details, I've shaded them with Reikland Fleshshade. For all of my silver details, I've gone down that classic route of shading them with Nuln Oil. And while that's drying, as you can see, I've textured the base. And what I use with Grand Cafe is what I like to do is a Grellan Badland. At this stage, our model is officially at what I'd call battle ready, and it looks incredible. I mean, that on the tabletop is going to stand out brilliantly. But we're not going to leave it there. Absolutely not. We're going to apply some highlights, and we're going to take it to that next level. So wait for your paints to dry, and then we can move on. With all of those details now dried, I have quickly shaded the base, and the colour I like to use here is Cygor Brown shade. It's a real light mud brown texture. Now we're moving on to our highlights. And there's a lot to cover here, and I'm splitting them into two parts. We're going to do all of the base colours, and then separately we'll do the metallics. So to begin with, we're going to do the longest, most painful, not really painful, but it's tedious. There's a lot to do, and it's the red details. And the colour I'm using here is Wild Rider Red. Now, it's quite simple when it comes to the cloth. It's very straightforward, same as the tassels. I've done the hair. It's the flag that's going to be the real issue here. In the sense that it's going to take a lot of time to just be very patient, be very careful. Take it section by section. For instance, I start at the top, just do the top part. If you want to do the line underneath, you can do. Then you could do the bit at the bottom. Go up, like that. I went then down, down, down. Just take it section by section. It's best not to rush it. You'll get a nice result if you don't. It is going to take the longest for all of our highlights. Next up is for the blue. Simple edge highlighting, and the colour I like to use here is Lahmium Blue. Next up is our black details. Now we've got two different blacks. We've got Black Legion, we've got Black Templar, and I've got different colours for each. So for the Black Legion, the colour I've used here is Storm Vermin Fur. For the flag, we don't need to do too many highlights. I've just done a couple for the most raised, visible edges. We're going to cover it with a transfer. The most prominent area will be the cloak. But for the socks though, which we did in Black Templar, the best colour here is Rust Grey. Not much to do, just a couple, mainly on the front. For all of our brown details, the colour I've liked to use here is Deathclaw Brown. Quite bright, quite vivid, works really well against the colours that we base coated with. For the skin tone, there's not much there. It's really just the knuckles. I mean, if you've done it in gloves, you could use Rust Grey. But as I've painted it as flesh hands, I've done spot highlights of Flayed One Flesh. I've just done a spot highlight on the nose too. For the little lantern, which we painted in Skeleton Horde, I've done chunky highlights of Screaming Skull. Just makes it a bit brighter. For the weapon handle, there's only a couple of lines, little edges to do. And the colour I've used here is Pink Horror. Works really well with the Sigvuld Burgundy. And then finally, as we've just done the face, I've dotted the eyes with White Scar, let it dry, and apply a smaller dot of Abaddon Black, just to dot the pupils. Next up, we're prepping the banner ready for that transfer. And I like to go down the classic method of using gloss varnish and then sealing it with a matte varnish. So the paint I've used here is Citadel's very own Darkoath. Now I have thinned this down ever so slightly with a bit of Lahmium Medium just to help with the flow and so it's not so patchy because it's a large surface area we're applying. It is a big transfer, so obviously we want to do the whole area, but the whole other reason we do it is so that it doesn't get all glotchy and patchy when we seal it on. It just makes it one smooth surface area, and then when we mat it down it becomes once again one smooth surface area. So it's best to do that now. Then, continuing our highlights, I'm taking Stormhost Silver and I'm highlighting all of our silver details. Now just to note, he's got a little gem there, just on the tunic of his cloak. I've painted that too because we're going to turn that into an actual gem. As is typical, you point out a gem and then you realise there's another one, and that's on the belt buckle there. So I painted that in Stormhost Silver too. Now, once the Stormhost Silver is dry, I've done a very light painting of Eldari Emeralds. Not too heavy, just a small amount in the brush to get that really bright effect. Once that's dry, you can go over the gems with Darkoath Gloss Varnish to give it that natural shiny look. Our last remaining detail for highlighting is all the gold. We're going classic here with Liberator Gold. Just take your time. There's not as much to do as the red, but there's still quite a bit. And once that's done, we can then apply the transfer. And if you're not sure with transfers, just cut out the one that you want, wet it with water, and just take your time applying it. Now they are quite big. I find the bigger ones, it's easier to cut, but I'll talk through that in the next stage if that's necessary when I do it. And so my transfers are applied and they do look brilliant. And I'm going to give a couple of handy tips, just things that I've done. I haven't actually had to cut them up, but they are very big and there are things to note. Now the flag is not flat, it is curved, it is wavy, it's blowing in the wind. That's the sort of static animation they're trying to go with here. So you are going to get crinkles. That is a given. There's not much I can do. You can smooth them out. There are going to be odd ones. To be honest, it's only me that's going to notice it. Again, not even the camera at this stage is picking it up. Now, you don't have to cut it up. I know I talked about it. You might want to cut it in half. It depends on how you feel personally. My tip is obviously you're going to use water to ease it off the paper to get it onto your model. Now, the easiest way that I found to do it, once it's wet enough, once you can start moving it, I didn't use my paintbrush. I'm using my finger. And I had a transfer square here, and literally I'm applying that bottom edge to there first, and then I'm pulling that paper away, leaving it so it can just fall flat on the model. So again, the same on this side. Apply it here first, still on the paper, just slowly slide it off, and then just use your paintbrush just to smooth it down, try and ease out those crinkles. If you're going for this transfer, or the silver version, you do get this nice extra space, and I thought rather than just leaving it black, why not use another little tiny dragon transfer? You get so many on that transfer sheet. They really are awesome transfers. So that's what I've done. Once it's on, once you're happy, if there's any excess water, just wait for it to dry or dry it off yourself. And then you need to seal it on. And the way I do this is using Citadel's very own Storm Shield. It's a matte varnish. Gets rid of that glossy varnish that we did earlier to prep the model. Just apply it all over. I've gone over the red just to make sure it's completely sealed, and your transfer will be on. It's got a really nice shiny look. It's got real nice pure gold. Now if there's any bits that do fold over, and I found this on the Sky Lantern where, say for instance, that little corner, it hasn't in this case, but if it folds over and you want to put that detail on, Liberator Gold is the matching paint. So you can easily fix and correct that with Liberator Gold. It is literally the identical paint, and you can sort of see just on the edge highlight there that I've done is identical. So those are some handy tips. All we need to do now is finish off the model by basing it, which I'll do next. And there we have it. Our Gatemaster on foot with the banner is completely done. Now if you follow this guide or my others, or even just check out my range of Grand Cafe models on Instagram, you'll quickly see how this colour scheme really makes this model stand out in the entire Grand Cafe army, both regally as well as a general leading that army. The triadic colour scheme of red, blue and gold in this way really does have a fantastic overall look. And again, it's why I opted for that gold dragon transfer rather than the silver. It just really matches the overall theme here. Again, this Grand Cafe range of Warhammer miniatures are just absolutely incredible models. You know, if you look by now, you know I love them. Now, if this video has helped you and inspired you in any way, then take that precious moment to like my video. Share it so others can also benefit from the tutorials, and hit that subscribe button to see more tutorials. I've got lots and lots planned, and I'm very nearly painted everything with accompanying tutorials of the Grand Cafe range. And I'll be able to very claim soon that I'm the only hobbyist out there who's done that. Because supporting me means I get to support you, the awesome Warhammer community. Until the next video though, look after yourselves and happy hobbying.